Welcome to Uplifting Souls. My name is Abna Posh. Today I want to speak to you about two very important things that most of us we don't pay attention to when it comes to us praying for a destiny helper. There are certain individuals that God has placed in our life for them to help us to get to our destination in life. Without these individuals, we will not be able to fulfill our purpose on this earth. The first people that you need to pray about when you're praying for a destiny helper is called the gatekeepers. The gatekeepers are not your destiny helper, but they are the people that needs to open the door to lead you to your destiny helper. When it comes to gatekeepers, it can be positive or a negative experience. For one, it is, they must open the door for you. Because if the door is not being open, you will not be able to meet your destiny helper. These gatekeepers, God put them in our life to push us closer to our destiny helpers. They are there to push you. And that push can be comfortable or very discomfort. Let me use, for instance, someone like Joseph's story as an illustration for you to understand. Joseph, his first gatekeepers were his brothers because they sold him to the Ishmaelites. The Ishmaelites also sold Joseph to Potiphar. And when Joseph got to Potiphar's house, he was being put in prison because of the incidents that happened between Joseph and Potiphar's wife. Joseph was in the prison. He met two men and he interpreted their dreams for them. And the men left the prison. But it was quite unfortunate that they did not remember him until 2 years after, when the king had a dream. One of the men remembered that there was a man in prison who interpreted his dream for him. Then he came to look for Joseph. The reason why Joseph needed all these people was because these gatekeepers needed to direct his life in a way that would lead him to the king. Although the experiences were negative, he needed to go through those experiences, those gates, to get to the king. The mistake that most of us we make is that we pray against negative gatekeepers. And that is a wrong prayer for you to pray. Imagine Joseph was praying against his brothers. That would have been a waste of time. That would have been a wrong prayer for him to pray, because he needed them to do that, to push him into his next door. Some gatekeepers, you don't pray them away, but you pray for the strength to go through the gates. Some people too, we might have gatekeepers that might be very helpful. You pray for the favor, for them to keep holding your hand to lead you to your destiny helper. Whichever one you come in contact with, make sure you don't pray against them, but pray for favor and strength. Second thing that you need to pray about when you're praying for a destiny helper is the preservation of life. Many of us, there are certain individuals that you must meet. And if you don't meet that individual, you will not be able to fulfill your assignment. When Joseph became the prime minister, the Israelites were living in Egypt comfortably. But when Joseph died, a new king came. That king started to persecute the Israelites. The Israelites became very discomfort and they started to pray to God. The reason why I'm saying that you need to pray for the preservation of life is that the only reason why the Israelites were comfortable living in that land was because of Joseph. But the moment Joseph died, they went through a lot in the hands of the Egyptians. So the moment that particular destiny helper died, before you meet them, you will go through a lot. Or some of us too, we might have met our destiny helpers already. You pray that God preserve their life. Because if their life is not being preserved and they died in the process of helping you, that becomes a challenge. So most of us, our destiny helpers are dead, but we just don't know. So you might feel like I've been praying, but God is not listening. It's not that God is not listening, but that individual supposed to help you is dead. And then the new person that is there doesn't have the same compassion to help people like that individual that God placed them in your life. There are certain people that God placed in your life for them to do certain things for you. The moment the individual die, God might bring another help, but you will pray, you will invest so much time in prayers. I have read the Bible and I've read it very carefully, but I have never seen anywhere in the Bible that said after Joseph died as a prime minister, there was another person that was put in place as a prime minister. That should tell you that that position was created for Joseph. So there is a position that God has created for you, and the only way that thing can come to pass is by coming in contact with someone. Pharaoh can do in the life of Joseph. The butler cannot do it. What Pharaoh can do in the life of Joseph, Potiphar cannot do it. What Pharaoh can do in the life of Joseph, his brothers cannot do it. So when you are praying for your destiny helper, pray that may God preserve their life. It's not just about God directing their steps, but the preservation of their life is very important. I want you to pray these two prayers. Lord, open my eyes for me to know when I come into contact with my gatekeepers. And the second prayer I want you to pray is the prayer of preservation for your destiny helper. Without these two people, the struggle will still continue. Always remember, uplifting souls, let us feed the soul.